Tēnā rā koutou e mātaki mai rai te mahana i o koutou kāinga. I tēnei wā, kei te tahuri atu au ki te kōrero kia Tim Tipene, koe e te kaituhi o te pukapuka Warrior Kids. Tēnā rā wātu koe Tim, mo te haramai ki te kōrero kia au I tēnei rā.
Kia ora.
How well are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
You're a prolific writer, so how did you get into writing and particularly children's writing?
I never did well at school. I never did well. In the end of school, I was actually kicked out of school. I had a few troubles that I had to sort out. And one thing that I did like at school was writing. I loved writing. Writing allowed me to escape. In my home, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of fighting, and a lot of drinking and stuff like that. And writing allowed me to escape that sort of stuff. So I loved writing. So I started at school, and I never stopped. I just kept going. I didn't do well at maths. Even with my writing, my spelling was terrible. The grammar and all that wasn't right, and it was always red pen coming back from the teacher. But I loved writing, and I've just never stopped. And so it's just sort of continued on from there.
Can you also tell us a little bit about yourself, because you have your martial arts?
Yeah, a few arts, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that side.
Okay, well, when I was about 12, I discovered martial arts. I saw it on the movies, Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris and that sort of stuff. And what I liked about these men was that they had a control about them. And I wasn't used to that. A lot of the men in my life had very little control, and a lot of the women as well. And so they were always throwing their anger around and stuff like that. So the martial arts, for me, was a way to find control and some discipline in my life, and I just absolutely loved it. So I stayed with it and I kept going.
I've noticed that you've carried those disciplines from your martial arts into the work that you're running now with the Warrior Kids program. Can you tell us a little bit about the Warrior Kids program that you run?
Yeah, well, you see, I wanted to be different. I didn't want to carry on. I don't want my children being scared of me. That's the big thing. So I wanted to be different. Now I thought, since I want to be different, that'll be easy. I didn't realise that I was going to have to work at it. A lot of the friends that I grew up with didn't make it. Around that time they died for one reason or another, and I realised that I needed help to move on from my past, to break the cycles, so to speak. So I started doing things like anger management and counselling at the same time that I was studying martial arts. And so Warrior Kids, I was already an instructor of martial arts, so Warrior Kids was that development.
Natural progression.
Yeah, so I changed my martial arts class to include conflict resolution and communication skills and all that sort of stuff, because I was training. With the counselling, I decided to take it further. You know, if this stuff was going to help me, then I better know as much as I possibly can to get away from it. So not only did I go through the counselling, but I trained as a counsellor and did a lot of courses and so on. So then I just brought that together with the martial arts and created Warrior Kids. The idea is it's got to be fun and exciting for the kids, a real adventure, you know, and that's the aim. So it's aimed at their level rather than just having them in lines and working discipline. It's actually engaging with them.
I really enjoyed reading this book and what you did with the kids. And for those who haven't read the book, can you tell us a little bit about the program that you run with the kids?
Okay, well, the book, the way the book came about was I had a lot of requests. I've had the demand for Warrior Kids has just continued to grow. Even now, a lot of international interest and a lot of interest throughout New Zealand. And a lot of people are wanting Warrior Kids. But there's only one of me, and I've tried ideas of training other people to get them to do it, but it hasn't always worked out. A lot of supervision and everything's required. I took it for granted, really, all the experience that I had had and how long I've been doing it. Since 1994, so it's been quite a while, in schools and out in the community. So that's how the book came about. The idea was so that I could have a way of passing it out to the children and to the families and also to other people in the community. So within the program, it's all games and activities. Like the children, they'll come and we'll start off in a circle and someone will give us a few words just to start us off, one of the children, and then we'll get stuck in with there'll be a little bit of sharing at that point, maybe a colour that stands out for them that day, and then we'll get stuck into playing some games. We'll do some stretching or stuff like that, work the body, then focus on some skills such as rolling or some self-defense skills or something like that. And saying that, they're not learning to go out and beat other people up though. That's really important.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of martial arts make that mistake in some ways, a lot of martial arts schools.
Yeah.
And these days, I mean, if a child raises his fist in a school, he's going to get in trouble. And same with us out in society. If we raise our fist at someone, we're going to get in trouble. So the idea is to deal with these problems without turning to our fists.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in the program we have times of sharing where we sit down and talk about a high point or a low point. Sometimes we do anger releases and stuff like that and talk about our emotions and so on.
What sort of age group are you working with? Can you run this with senior and junior level, or is it more for the middle school?
No, I work with 5 to 13-year-olds and Warrior Kids, and for the older, for teenagers and for adults, I have a class too that's called Master Arts. So at the moment my focus has been really sorting out Warrior Kids and getting that in a good place. And then I have a lot of children and adult students now, so the idea will be looking in the future to ways of developing that.
What sort of positive changes have you seen with some of the kids that you've been working with?
There's been a few evaluations done on it from students who have been studying at Auckland University and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So the positive outcomes have certainly been documented. Being contracted in to run it in schools too, which has happened, and for different community organisations, they themselves do evaluations. So it has certainly been evaluated and proven that it works. What I look for is the immediate changes, you know, the immediate things that I see happening around me. And that could simply be a family practicing some of the breathing exercises we do in the class, or at the dinner table sharing a high and low point from the day. So it opens up the communication. Also, a lot of reports about children talking more in terms of their feelings and emotions. And, you know, because a lot of the families are going through difficult times and different stages in their lives, separation and so on, children getting hurt at school, the loss of others, you know, grandmother dying or something like that, passing. So you certainly see the support that's offered to the children there, and the stability of the program, the fact that it's been around for so long is still there. The consistency of it is a big thing as well. So the children and the families just keep coming and they keep getting strengthened. And there's a lot of communication between me and the parents, and if it's through a school, working with the school as well. And for gradings in Warrior Kids, there's a form that the parents have to fill in, and it's about how the children are doing at home, how they're doing at school, and that determines whether or not the child passes. Now, they don't have to be perfect, but they certainly have to be putting effort into their life.
Sounds awesome. I was thinking to myself, because we try to have dinner at the table together and discuss our day, and sometimes we end up going, so, what's happening? So the high and low points is a good way to start communication with your family and talk about how the day's been going, for each other. Because sometimes we forget to tell each other those things. Really important lessons, Tim. So thank you very much for coming in to talk to me about the Warrior Kids book and the program. It's really awesome work. I hope to hear more about it in the future.
Excellent. Kia ora. Thank you.
I muri ngā whakatairanga ka ūtono tātou ki te kaupapa Warrior Kids, kei te haramai a Pā Chris ki te kōrero, me pēhea te whakahaere i tēnei roto i te akumanga.